All right. So I wanted to show a quick reference on some different ways we can approach this new ring project. So before, yeah, we had some really good some really good designs. Um, Sweep or pipe sweep or loft based. You had your jewel facets, all that kind of thing. We had some really interesting designs. You could really push that a lot further, certainly, in taking like the sweep and rotating it, anything like that. Great. But one of the things I want to remind everybody is there are those same tools within the form environment. Now, this looks a little confusing because I chose the granite appearance. So let me switch to auto color mode, but this started as just a cylinder that we could thicken, add details, and just for a quick reference of things like just adding different features, now you going back and using the same tools we have before. Now, how you combine elements, entirely up to you. These are all of these little cylinders and squares, these are all embossed. But you can absolutely model things in different environments and just join them together, and away you go. So this is just a simple angular ring. I also, for example, made one that was more of sweeping with these like tines that I certainly intended to make more of, but you could then very easily push and add like additional features like recesses into this. Made this kind of starburst pattern here with emboss tools. You can very quickly start adding a great deal of details to these with the existing tools. And of course, uh, going back on other tools that we've used in the past. Um, your jewel can be absolutely like some kind of an actual jewel that we have used. This is actually one of the jewels we modeled before, and I imported it in just to use that. You can certainly approach it different ways. Your jewel could also be just be a straight up sphere, playing with different textures. But other examples would be, and this gets a little bit more difficult to see with an appearance on. I created some of these patterns just by repeating faces or repeating details that I just cut out and then use a circle pattern to repeat a bunch. As in, I used, sorry, my tools are right on top of each other. This is just cutaways of a simple circle. So using a sphere, I created a spiral pattern onto this, and that would become my path. I made a cutout, just a flat spot that's literally just a sliced face or a split face. Use pattern on path to use this spiral as my path, and then I can go in using the press pull, manipulate them, and then I just use a circle pattern to repeat all of those patterns. So you can manipulate things very easily. Let's see here, a couple of the other examples I did. Oh, and this is all just using this spiral path that I made, and I'll show you how to do that. I made path on a circle with a bunch of just with a single starting point of a sphere, and I'll show you that. That is straight on. Oh, not that. Not that. Move. There we go. So just made a sphere. Then I made a bunch of them using pattern on a path. Kind of starts to look like a golf ball. And then I started using the press pull tool, which is an offset tool. Just go in and start randomly changing the size of them. Starts to look like craters or whatever, Swiss cheese, whatever you want to reference. Um, and you can very quickly start to create like just non-traditional gems. I do not expect these to be like faceted gems. If you want to, great. But you can totally play around with this and make just kind of whatever you please. Um, Another example I was playing with was exactly that, craters, making dents and changing them around. Sure, whatever. It can be flat, it can be round, it can be faceted, it can be just absolutely nondescript. I will later on, not today, but I'll show you how to use some of the details in the surface tool environment to create more of less directly linear shapes. My goal is to show you how to use those to create like more of crystals, more of like long crystals you'd see like actually growing in a cave, something to that effect. If you're like just randomly spelunking in your free time. Um, just don't go near anyone called peanut butter. Um, but yeah, however you want to approach your idea of like facets or so, more power to you. But I did want to show you a quick example of some different ways you can approach these same tools we've been using to create some new rings. So let me start a new project. And with this, I want to start from create form. You are not required to create form or to use form tools, but I wanted to show you some different ways we could approach this. So one of the quick ones, just starting from a face, and I want to start with a cylinder in this case. So I'm going to start here. You'll quickly see all I'm doing is basically just making a tube, which will become, let's keep that symmetric so it's easier to work with. And let's keep the faces down to a minimal. So that way, if I want, I can apply symmetry. Might as well. Where is height? So you can see the green line, left and right. Good. Let's shrink this down a wee bit, make this a little bit less ridiculous. I don't know. Let's just make it an even number 20. If I could actually select, for some reason, it's not letting me. There we go. Yeah, not 300, just 20. Cool. Okay. Simple cylinder. No big. But this would be an easy way to then, I have a cylinder shape, standard form, standard body. I can start to manipulate that by, in this case, I'm going to thicken it. Let's just drag it outward. I want to keep this as a sharp, angular thing. Good. All right, now I have a different inside and outside that I can manipulate. So things like I could start throwing in creases. It's like this outside here. Let me just start showing. Oops, I should have also, sorry, I have symmetry left and right, but what I should also do is have symmetry front and back. There we are. So now you can see I have multiple symmetries on. Originally, I had symmetry from around the circle, so it'd be like what would be front and back. Now I just applied symmetry to left and right of the loop. They do not have to be symmetrical. This is just a quick way for me to work. Let's start adding creases. I'm just creasing the very outside. By adding just those couple of creases, you can see that the inside stays circular, stays cylindrical. The outside starts to become more angular. This is where I can start really playing around with this stuff. So if I want to make this much more like jagged and that sort, great. Already on way to go. Already a good starting point. From here, let's play with like the edit form. Let me try using like one of the edge tools. Okay. Drag this one. Oops, not scale. Outward a bit. Now I'm going to immediately start changing up the shape here. Okay, cool. I could, of course, go to like face or really all of it if I wanted to select all of those. Don't forget the faces, but we'll see what happens when I don't. Let's use a free transform, press and hold command to extrude, or sorry, no, alt option to extrude. If I could select the correct faces, we'd be doing great. Instantly starts to split off into weirdo different directions. That's because I didn't also select that edge inside. But that's totally a thing you could do. Or if I did in fact want to select all of those, make sure that I have both the face, press and hold shift to also select the edges. Now when I press and hold alt or option, I can extrude outward and it also grabs that. And I'm still getting a little bit of that. That's weird. Probably just because I have so much symmetry applied. But we can really start to build out, apparently, a molar. Okay, fine. It's a tooth ring. Whatever. Your dentist would be horrified or proud. I don't know. Keep going. Fine. Just, again, I'm just messing around, just kind of seeing where it takes me. All right, fine. We're going to lean into this terrible tooth thing. All right. Let's make the little, set down roots. I can't believe I believed into this. Whatever. You can see how quickly I can really start to manipulate this. And I guess it could also just be like a tower thing. But you could very, very quickly start to create some pretty interesting shapes. Okay, cool. Fine. I have, obviously, if I want to flatten any of this stuff, anything like that, I can do that. But from here, I can say, okay, now I've got this basic ring shape. Let's go to finish form. Let's see how many errors I get. Darn. Oh, I see the problem is it's just much too close right there on these edges. So back to this old bit of fun. Let's go ahead and use the repair body. Let's see if it automatically fixes anything for me. It does squat. So I know what I'm going to have to fix. I'm going to have to adjust those edges. So let me grab just that edge. Let's see where just that one takes me. Drag that down a little bit so it kind of smooths out the whole form. Cool. I'm going to grab that top edge as well. Drag that down a little bit so it smooths that out a little bit. Probably going to get an error in here, but we'll see. All right. That's finished form. Hey, it worked this time. Cool. So it was just fixing those two edges. They were a little bit too sharp, too much of a peak. It couldn't transfer them. Okay. And I realized one thing I didn't do again. Save. Since we're doing a tooth ring, fine. Question mark? Absolutely. What am I doing here? Okay, so that's just a quick tweak with the form tools. Let's play around with, say, like what we've been doing before of let's do a construction plane and a sketch and emboss and see where that takes us. Okay. Well, let's do a sketch on the outside of this. Project so we can make use of the outline. So I kind of know what I'm doing here. Great. That way, if I need to hide the bodies, still got my outline. Great. From here, yeah, sure. Start creating some kind of a shape. Hell, you could even use the outline of this and use an offset tool to shrink that inward just to give me kind of a reference. Okay, I don't quite want the upper teeth there, so I don't know. I'm just going to draw a line straight across. That's going to give me a section I can at least isolate, so long as it actually lets me. Looks like I missed a line there somehow. Not sure why it's splitting off, or it's not splitting into 1 and 2 there. So since it's clearly not connecting, weird. Let's make sure to, I don't know, probably extend that line. Don't know if it's, shouldn't need to. That's funky. Okay, there's nothing extending is going all the way out. Don't know why. Okay, now it isolates. Weird. I have no idea why it wasn't before, but extend fixed it, so cool. All I just wanted to create was just this insert here. All right. Now I could try something like using either extrude if I just want to straight in, or let's try emboss first. I want that sketch profile onto all of those faces. Let's do deboss. Have it cut inward. Hit OK. All right, there we go. So now I've got an insert edge into that. Okay, cool. Start putting something like, let's try chamfer on the edge here. Probably going to be way more work than it's worth, especially with all of those little edges. Don't know. Again, I am absolutely just freehanding some stuff here to show you how you can start combining so many of the tools we've used with a bunch of the new ones here. It's forcing me to do all of these, or a bunch of these individually. All right, well, these things happen. Now, I will warn you, trying to do like fillets and chamfers on recessed edges on a free form object get weird sometimes. So I would recommend starting these numerically. Okay, it actually works. Don't use the slider tool. It moves so much faster than your computer can calculate. It will instantly start to error code out. But if you just insert a number, like here, it's a 1 millimeter chamfer, that worked nicely. It didn't go crazy. Good. Okay. So right there, I already have a entire recess built into this. Cool. If I wanted, like, I could say, like, maybe I either model a jewel, or heck, this would be a part where, all right, I want to use a jewel from before. Let me right click and insert into current design. All right, first things first, let me break that link, right click on the component. Oh, I gotta finish. Yep, that's where it wants to be. Great. Right click and break link so by modifying it, I don't change the original at all. Okay, cool. Let me grab one of the bodies off of that. Let's see here. Yeah, sure, that 5-sided jewel. That works. All right, fine, whatever. And if you're not sure if you want to modify it or anything like that, don't move the original, make a copy. So let's say Command C, Command V, copy. Great. Just going to move that new one over. Okay, the original you can see stays colors because it's on a different component. You can always drop this into its own component later. All right. Now this new jewel that I just brought in, let's move it in place. I don't know, just going to rotate it 90 degrees. And then I'm just going to drag it into position, which would be, sure, kind of sort of that effect. Totally in scale. Obviously, we can change the scale of it later or right now. Where is scale? There we are. Now, again, don't forget that scale doesn't just scale right where it is. I really don't know why the heck Fusion does this. It's one of those that I really wish they would fix. There's no reason at all for it not to scale just uniformly in its exact position. But scale works off of a factor, a multiplier. So at 1, it's at full scale. Less would be anything less than 1. So I don't know, let's say 0.25. If it actually typed in 0.25, teeny tiny. Yeah, that works well enough. Now I got to move the thing into position again. If you use the select, not by faces, by bodies, please, and thank you. That actually makes sense. Careful where you're selecting from, because that clearly did not put it smack in the middle. I very much need to rotate this just so it kind of aligns to anything at all. Of course, that's in between. So let's say, looks like negative, what is it, 18.5 is not 78. 18. There we go. Cool. Real close, it's obviously not smack in the middle, and I still got to move it into position, but you can see quickly where I'm going with this. State bodies, great. Why? Why would it not? Ugh. If it doesn't select right where you want it to be, or careful when you select, there we go, right in the middle. Super duper. Is it actually in line? Hooray. Yeah, just drag and drop it. We can always plop this into something later. Sure, close enough. We'll play with it more later. All right, there you go. So right off the bat, now let me hide those other ones I don't need. So right off the bat, I'm already applying some pretty fun appearances, or sorry, some pretty fun adjustments if you are apparently into teeth. Uh, but you could very, very quickly start to manipulate this. And then, of course, if you break the symmetry on all of this, now I have a base form. I can start to augment it by quite a lot. Another quick thing I wanted to show y'all is we haven't really played with this yet, but appearances. So far you have a lot of different stuffs. So let's say I wanted this to be, what was I using before to show? Where's stone? Stone. There's not a lot, but let's just say, fine, we'll use granite for whatever reason. Or there we go, granite. Some cool ones there. Just because, why not? All right, drop it on there. Cool. Now you can see how really not great that looks. So one of the things you could do is manipulate the actual settings of an appearance. So once it's applied, because now it's out of the library and it's on your actual project here, right click on the appearance block, not down here below from your library, but on the actual project appearances. Right click on the one you want to adjust, like here, the black and white granite, and go to edit. This is where you can play around with this. And one of the main things is like the scale of the stone ones gets way out of whack. If you bring the scale down a whole bunch, it starts to look like it's actually in somewhat appropriate position. You can play with the rotation. This works especially well on like wood appearances. If you're trying to get the grain to align to what you got going, rotation and scale is really what you want to play with to get the wood appearance to work well with your model and the size it currently is. Roughness, it's literally how rough it looks. It's not going to fully show right now until we get into the render environment. The other one is reflection. You want to make it a super reflective surface or super dull, play with that slider there. Advanced allows you to, or some of these will actually let you play with the coloration of it. So you want it to look like blue granite. That didn't really do much. But you can actually start manipulating these. You can even pick base materials if you're really into graphics. Sure, there's your Pantone library. Start playing with these, and it'll start to actually put on hues. Again, really didn't change anything at all, did it? Well, you get the idea. Anyhow, there's so much more in here. I'm not going to get into them right now because I just wanted to show people some examples. But you can really start playing up with these appearances, really start playing up different materials, and it'll get you quite a lot of variation. Same thing goes, I don't know, sure, let's make our jewel, heck yeah, metallic. Metallic yellow, why not? Because reasons. You can right click on that, edit, and you can still play around with these. You want to adjust the hue of the yellow? Sure, great. Go into there. There's not going to be a whole bunch of adjustments to the advanced section, other than like you can play with like the relief pattern a little bit. Not really, but this is where you would bring in your own actual image bitmaps. I'm not going to get into that today, but you can start actually applying your own variations to these, and it will save because it's all cloud storage. So that is at least a benefit. Other programs where it's just locally saved, yeah, you can manipulate your own stuff, but if you open it up in a different program, you're not going to have access to the same library. So just a couple of quick things you can play with. Then when you bounce over to the render space, it'll at least show, you can see how quickly that really changed from the design to the render space. Look at how vastly different the appearance looks there. I can bring my appearance tool back up. Let's go back into the granite, edit, scale. I don't know. Let's just try a scale now. Really changes things up. Quick render. And you can start to see how much you can really change these things out. One of the other ones is not just the render environment. Let me open up an example I was experimenting with the other day. Come on, come on. This is experimenting with some of the, especially the metal colors and patterns. Now, this is not available on all these, and this expanded steel look does not transfer to a 3D print. This is merely an appearance on this. But the appearance on this sphere here, yeah, bring up the appearance tool, right click on this. This is just metal. But in advanced, there's actually a bunch of different types. And frankly, there's a bunch of different types of metal within this too. If you haven't got the chance, now is your opportunity to really start looking through some of these. In the metal one, yeah, brass is brass, bronze is bronze, chrome is chrome. But when you start getting into the steel and stainless steel, there's actually quite a lot of differences. Like this one, stainless steel diamond plate. You can see how much that vastly changes and gets a reference to like actual like ridge texture diamond plate. That's huge. So let's go into edit, advanced. Let's change the scale of that pattern. Where is it? Parameters. Okay. Cancel, just trying to find the scale. Did I go right past it? Oh yeah, went right past it. Sorry. Scale slider, start to drag that down. Now it starts to actually look like it's supposed to, or at least a reference. Again, though, this does not translate to an exported model. This is merely an advanced bitmap, which is just a texture map or a picture basically that is wrapped around an object. That does not change the physical material nor the physical texture of an exported model. But at least within the modeling environment, start to experiment with your appearances as well. You can get some really fun, wild stuff. So ultimately, with this, I want you to play around. Apparently, make a tooth ring. That still just entertains me. Um, See where it takes you. But this is absolutely a culmination and combination project. Play around with what we know. I'm going to guide you through some examples as well, but really push these. And hopefully, you don't get totally lost like I just did.